Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to NY series of live webinars. And we do hope that the previous sessions would have been very enriching to you. And with the vast experience of Dr. Shashilata Kabra Maheshwari, who's a specialist in Department of Obs and Gynae, Deen Dayal Upadhyay Hospital, under the government of NCT of Delhi. She is a passionate teacher and a worker and has been tirelessly teaching students. And I can vouch for that because she has been with me throughout, and we have a very long association of around 15 years plus. And her main forte is about high-risk obstetrics. She has in last lecture covered about the obstetric procedures. I do hope the students had benefited immensely with her experience. Today, taking the lectures forward, we go on to the next series covering the remaining procedures in obstetric procedures part 2. Dr. Shashi, over to you. Can you share your screen, please?
Yeah, thank you, Dr. Mrilalini Mani, for such a kind introduction. Thank you, sir, for giving another opportunity to us. So I am sharing my screen.
We can see your screen, ma'am.
So it is being shown, I think.
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, okay.
Dr. Shashi, are you there? Hello. I think, guys, we lost Dr.
Yeah, net is not stable. She has not seen. She has logged out. We can just see her introductory slide.
Yeah, sure, ma'am. We'll wait for her to come in, ma'am. Just a minute.
Yeah, let's give her a few.
Dr. Mrilalini, ma'am. Hello. Dr. Mani, are you there?
Yes, I am very much there.
Would you mind calling doctor, if you don't mind?
Yeah, I'm doing that only. I'm doing that only, doctor.
Okay, ma'am. Okay. Yeah, I think she's coming in.
Dr. Mani, was I audible?
Yes, ma'am. We can hear you, ma'am.
Yeah.
We had lost you in between, Dr. Shashi. Welcome back.
Okay, okay.
And let's
Yeah.
start with your lecture.
Yeah, is my slide visible now?
Yes, please, you can continue. We can see your slide routine antibiotic.
So should I start from beginning? Should I start from beginning?
Your voice
Okay.
is breaking up.
Yes, ma'am.
You go on to
We were unable to hear you,
presentation,
ma'am. So can you please start again?
You have to
Okay.
change your
Now am I
position.
audible? Now am I audible?
Yes, ma'am.
Dr. Shashi, your
Okay. So
slides
dear
are
students,
tracking.
we are starting with vacuum assisted work. Dr. Mani, am I audible now?
Yes, Dr. Shashi, better now.
Okay. Am I audible and my slides visible?
Yes, please. Yes. Continue, please.
Okay. Okay. So we have to follow the general care principles like where feasible ensure that the women is a companion of her choice with her and provide information to the women and any accompanying family members. And the women would like to be involved in decision making about diagnostic tests to be performed, the process of care, her diagnosis, treatment options, the estimated time for inpatient care if required, and any supportive care to be provided. If the woman is unconscious, explain the procedure to her family and obtain an informed consent for any procedure, diagnostic or therapeutic and care. Now, this is the essential component of obstetric vacuum. Here you can see the assembled apparatus with Manstone cup. Earlier, it used to be available only in metal. Nowadays, many silastic cups are available and they are more commonly used. And here in the inset, I am showing a bird modified cup. So the criteria are review for conditions like the presentation should be vertex. It cannot be applied in breech presentation. And the fetus should be term. If we apply in a preterm fetus, then lots of hematoma in the brain and coverings can occur. The cervix should be fully dilated and fetal head should be at least at 0 station or no more than 2/5 palpable above symphysis pubis. And we should check all connections and test the vacuum on a gloved hand. Routine antibiotic prophylaxis is not recommended for obstetric vacuum assisted birth. Provide emotional support and encouragement. If necessary, use a pudendal block. This pudendal block we have already discussed in our previous class. Wearing sterile gloves, assess the position of the fetal head by filling the sagittal suture line and the fontanelles and identify the posterior fontanelle. It is very, very important to identify the posterior fontanelle. So I am here showing you the landmarks of fetal skull. This is the posterior fontanelle or lambda found in between the parietal and occipital bone. This is the sagittal suture, and this is the anterior fontanelle, which is quadrangular in shape, and here is the frontal bone. So we locate the flexion point 3 centimeter anterior to the posterior fontanelle. Now locating the flexion point, this is 3 centimeter anterior. I have shown in 2 different methods. This is the side view, and this is another view. It is 3 centimeter anterior to the. So locating the flexion point 3 centimeter anterior to the posterior fontanelle and calculating cup insertion distance. This is how we measure the cup insertion distance. This is the flexion point. So apply the largest cup that will fit. Because sometimes we are given 2-3 cups. So you have to apply the largest cup that will fit with the center of the cup over the flexion point. We have already discussed the flexion point. And the edge of the cup should be placed about 1 centimeter anterior to the posterior fontanelle. And that's why it is very important to recognize the posterior fontanelle to palpate it. And this placement will promote flexion. Every time we have to maintain the flexion of the fetal head, and it will maintain the descent, and also it will do auto-rotation with flexion. So here we are holding the cup by after inspecting the perineum. Inserting the cup through the introitus. Maneuvering the cup towards and over the flexion point. Consider episiotomy if perineum interferes with axis of traction. Check the application. Ensure that there is no maternal soft tissue, cervix or vagina within the rim of the cup. With the pump, create a vacuum of 0.2 kilogram per square meter per square centimeter negative pressure and check the application. And then increase the vacuum to 0.8 kilogram per square centimeter and check the application again. After maximum negative pressure, start traction in the line of the pelvic axis perpendicular to the cup. Always remember that it should be perpendicular to the cup. If the fetal head is tilted to one side or not flex well, traction should be directed in a line that will try to correct the tilt or deflection of the head. That is to one side or the other, not necessarily in the midline. Apply traction at the onset of each contraction and maintain it throughout the contraction. Apply traction in a line perpendicular to the plane of the cup ring. Place a finger on the scalp next to the cup during traction to assess potential slippage and descent of the vertex. In between contractions, do not apply traction. Very important line. You have to apply traction only during contractions. Encourage the women to assist descent with expulsive efforts and deliver the head slowly and protect the perineum. So this slide showing how to apply traction. Axis of traction changes according to the pelvic curve. All of you are acquainted with the pelvic curve. And delivering the head, hand protects perineum while completing delivery of the head. Usually we call it downwards and forwards, then downwards and in front, and then upwards. Now between contraction, you have to check fetal heart rate, application of the cup, and removal of cup. As soon as the head is crowned or after delivery of the head, release the vacuum first, remove the cup, and complete the delivery of the baby. There are some important tips which I want to give you. Never use the cup to actively rotate the fetal baby's head. Rotation of the baby's head will occur with traction. The first pulls help to find the proper direction for pulling. This is very important. The pull itself find the proper direction. Do not continue to pull between contractions and expulsive efforts. With progress and in the absence of fetal distress, continue the guiding pulls for a maximum of 30 minutes. Perform active management of third stage of labor. It is otherwise indicated after all deliveries, whether instrumental or non-instrumental. Ensure that the uterus is well contracted and that blood loss is not excessive. Check for genital tract trauma and repair any lacerations or tears that may have occurred and repair episiotomy. Here I would like to say one thing, that the genital tract trauma is more with forceps and less with ventures. Now, the monitor women's uterine tone, vaginal bleeding, pulse, temperature, blood pressure every 15 minutes for the first 2 hours, every 30 minutes for the third hour after birth, and then hourly for 3 hours. Ensure that the baby is dry and warm, that the cord is securely tied, that the baby is put to the mother's breast as soon as possible. Examine the baby's scalp. This is very important after applying forceps or ventures, and note for any injuries. Explain to the parents that the reason for the last swelling, that is called chignon, and you ensure them and reassure them that it will disappear, and assure them that it will disappear within a few hours and will not damage the baby's head. Allow the women and baby to rest comfortably where their recovery can be monitored. There are few post-procedure tasks that we have to perform. Remove gloves and discard them in a leak-proof container. Wash hands and forearms thoroughly with soap and water. Dry them with a clean dry cloth. Decontaminate and clean equipment according to recommended practices. Assemble the equipment and check the vacuum and high-level disinfectant to sterilize the equipment. Document the following information. Indication for vacuum birth, that is very, very important. You should have a definite reason why have you applied vacuum. Date and time of the procedure, name of the clinician performing the procedure, name of the personnel who assisted, length of the procedure, number of pulls. This is very important. It has got medical legal importance, and position of the fetal head prior to application of the cup, whether it was occipital anterior, occipital lateral, or occipital posterior. Then condition of the baby at birth, color, whether breathing and any resuscitation needed, as well as position of chignon, any bruising, details of first stage of labor, details of any medications used, maternal condition following the procedure, and any complication affecting the mother or the baby. Now, what is called failure? Vacuum-assisted birth has failed if the fetal head does not advance with each pull. There is no descent of the baby's head after 3 pulls with no descent, and the cup slips off the head twice at the proper direction of pull with maximum negative pressure. This is very important. All the lines are important. It is called failed if the fetal head does not advance with each pull. There is no descent of the baby's head after 3 pulls with no descent, and the cup slips off the head twice at the proper direction of the pull with maximum negative pressure. Every application should be considered as a test of the obstetric vacuum and do not persist if there is no descent after 3 pulls. What complication may occur? Complication usually result from not observing the condition of the application, failure in judgment of fulfilling the criteria, and from continuing efforts beyond the time limits stated above. Fetal complications, localized scalp edema, caput succedaneum or Chignol under the vacuum cup is harmless and disappears in a few hours. Capella hematoma requires observation and usually will clear in 3 to 4 weeks. Caput succedaneum disappears in few hours and capella hematoma takes 3 to 4 weeks. Scalp abrasions are common and harmless and lacerations may occur. Clean and examine the lacerations sorry, to determine if sutures are necessary. Necrosis is extremely rare and intracranial bleeding is extremely rare and requires immediate intensive neonatal care. Maternal complications tear of the genital tract, especially when the soft tissue comes in between. That's why we check it again and again that there should not be any soft tissue between the head and the venous cup. Examine the women carefully and repair any tear to the cervix or vagina or repair episiotomy. Here I am showing you one video of vacuum extraction. It is from WHO RHL library. Dr. Mani, is the video seen?
Yes, ma'am, we can see, ma'am, but no audio.
This case is a case of fetal distress and mother's expulsive efforts have failed. This we can do either with forceps or ventouse. Now we will show you the basic techniques of vacuum restriction and advantages and disadvantages. So the advantages are you can read it over the screen. Meaning and experience, no risk of excessive traction. There are clear-cut rules. Dr. Mani, is the sound audible?
Ma'am, we can hear you, ma'am, but in the video we are unable to hear.
Okay,
ma'am.
so I am speaking right.
Yes, ma'am.
And there is causeless injury to the mother. Randomized control trial have shown that vacuum application causes less injury compared to the forceps. Disadvantages are that it cannot be used for a preterm delivery. Very important, it cannot be used for a phase presentation or after coming out of a breech or when the mother is unable to assist the delivery with expulsive effort. It needs more complex equipment and more trauma to the baby than forceps. If it is preterm, otherwise usually the trauma is less. Now look at the technique. The procedure is being explained to the woman and also being explained to her why it is required. We have to tell them that this Chignol may occur and it will disappear. It will disappear in few hours. We have to make her understand. Now, this is 45-degree reclining position. Women's bladder has been evacuated. Palpate the mother's abdomen. To make sure that the baby is held in the pelvic cavity. It should be less than 250 palpable, as I have already told you. Now ensure the cervix is fully dilated and assess the position of the head. It should be 0 station or below that. In this case, occiput is right occiput anterior. Now this vacuum is being assembled. This is the metal milestone cup. It is attached to the pipe. The C is assembling. Newer models have elastic cups. Now we have to test in the suction machine whether it is working or not. And hold the cup against gloves and see whether negative pressure is being maintained. After checking everything, we will apply vacuum. Now, retracting the labia majora and introitus is applying the vacuum. No soft tissue to be taken inside. Swipe the cum along the baby's head. You know the point, at flexion point we have to apply the cup, which I have already explained to you in my previous slides. This will ensure that the head will remain flexed at the time of delivery. And ensure again that no maternal tissue has come in between the cup and the head. Now we start, create a vacuum. Build up the vacuum gradually from 0.2 to 0.8. Again, run the finger around the cup. It is very important not to have any tissue, soft tissue in between. And only during contractions it is to be pulled. And with another finger giving a counter pressure on the cup. Direct the traction in the line of the pelvic axis. Progressively forward. And now, always line of traction will always be perpendicular to the cup. Slight side to side movement we can do. One finger is on the fetal scale, giving counter traction. If club slips up twice, do not continue the procedure. Now, when the crowning is happening, our direction of pull has changed forward and upward. And see so beautifully the head is out. Now the vacuum is released. And after releasing the vacuum, the cup will be removed. Episiotomy may be given at the time of crowning if required. So I am stopping this video here. So now coming to forceps assisted birth, review and apply general care principles. Review for conditions like buttocks presentation or face presentation with chin anterior or enclaved after coming aid in breech vaginal birth. Cervix should be fully dilated here again, and the fetal head should be at the level of +2 or +3 station, and or 0 to 5, 0 by 5 palpable above the symphysis pubis. So at a minimum, the sagittal suture should be in the midline and straight. You should always palpate sagittal suture before application of forceps, which guarantees an occipital anterior occipital posterior position. Provide emotional support and encouragement. If necessary, use a pudendal block. Assemble the forceps before application and ensure that the parts fit together and lock well. Routine antibiotic prophylaxis is not recommended for women undergoing forceps assisted birth. Lubricate the blades of the forceps wearing sterile gloves. Insert 2 fingers of the right hand into the vagina on the side of the fetal head. Slide the left blade gently between the head and fingers to rest on the side of the head. This is very important line. A biparietal bimalar application is the only safe application. Apply the left blade of the forceps first. Repeat the same maneuver on the other side using the left hand and the right blade of the forceps. Apply the right blade of the forceps. Depress the handles. We have to depress the handles, otherwise they will not be locked. So depress the handles and lock the forceps. Difficulty in locking usually indicates that the application is incorrect. In this case, remove the blades and recheck the position of the head. Reapply if only rotation is confirmed. And after locking, apply steady traction inferiorly and posteriorly with each contraction. So this diagram is showing locking and applying traction. Between contraction, check fetal heart rate, application of forceps. When the head crowns, make an episiotomy if necessary. Lift the head slowly out of the vagina between contractions, and the head should descend with each pull. Only 2 or 3 pulls should be necessary. Failure forceps have failed if the fetal head does not advance with each pull. If there is no descent of the baby's head after 3 pulls, every application should be considered a test of use of the forceps, and do not persist if the head does not descend after 3 pulls. If forceps fail, perform a cesarean. Complications. Fetal complications, injury to the facial nerve which requires observation. This injury usually resolves spontaneously. Laceration of the face and scalp may occur. Clean and examine lacerations to determine if sutures are necessary. Fractures of the face and skull require observation. Maternal complications, tears of the genital tract may occur. Examine the woman carefully and repair any tears to the cervix or vagina or repair episiotomy. Uterine rupture may occur and requires immediate treatment. I have seen 4 or 5 cases of uterine rupture because of forceps. Now, this is a video which was made by Dr. Rachna Agarwal of GTP Hospital, and I'm sharing this video. These are the different types of instruments we require. This is the trolley for forceps delivery. We have episiotomy scissors, forceps, needle holder, suture material, local anesthesia, 1% Allocan. Forceps blades are assembled. This is called ghost application or phantom application. Now, after fulfilling the criteria, this is being applied. Bladder must always be evacuated before application of forceps or ventouse. And first blade is being applied, left blade is being applied. It is parallel to the inguinal ligament of the opposite side, gradually pushed inside, and it has been applied. Now assistant holds the blade. keeping it depressed little bit. Then the right blade is to be taken, and the handle will be parallel to the opposite inguinal ligament, parallel to the left inguinal ligament. Gradually the blade is being pushed and brought downwards. Now by depressing the handle, the forceps are locked. If it locks easily, it means that rotation is complete and the application is correct. Now the perineal support is given. Traction should always be given during contraction. Episiotomy is given at the time of crowning. Then perineum is distending. First, a downward traction. And now it is downwards and then forwards and then upwards. So this is forceps application. So coming to breech birth, review for indications, ensure that all the conditions for safe vaginal breech birth are met. Review general care principles, start an IV infusion, provide emotional support and encouragement. If necessary, use a pudendal block and perform all maneuvers gently without undue force. So this diagram is showing complete breech and frank breech. This is complete breech and this is frank breech in which the legs are extended. Regarding the birth of the buttocks and legs, once the buttocks have entered the vagina and the cervix is fully dilated, tell the woman that she can bear down with contractions. In the presence of physical obstruction due to lesions or scar tissue in the perineum, a decision to perform an episiotomy may be made, and let the buttocks deliver until the lower back and then the shoulder blades are seen. Gently hold the buttocks in one hand, but do not pull. Use a towel for holding baby. This is called breech towel. This is very important. Otherwise, the baby will slip from hands. If the legs do not deliver spontaneously, deliver one leg at a time. Push behind the leg, push behind the knee to bend the leg. I will show you in the video. Do not pull the baby while the legs are being delivered. We should not pull the baby at any stage. Hold the baby by the hips. That is called the femoropelvic grip. I will show you in the diagram. And do not hold the baby by the flanks or abdomen. And this may cause kidney or liver damage. So this is the correct femoropelvic grip. If we hold the baby here and here, then we may injure the intra-abdominal structures. Birth of the baby. Arms are felt on chest. Allow the arms to disengage spontaneously one by one. Only assist if necessary. After spontaneous delivery of the first arm, lift the buttocks towards the mother's abdomen to enable the second arm to deliver spontaneously. If the arm does not spontaneously deliver, place 1 or 2 fingers in the elbow and bend the arm, bringing the hand down over the baby's face. Arms are stretched above the head or folded around the neck. This is one condition where the arms are not coming spontaneously down. So here we use the Lobster's maneuver. Hold the baby by the hips and turn half a circle, keeping the back uppermost and applying downward traction at the same time so that the arm that was posterior becomes anterior and can be delivered under the pubic arch. There are 2 principles of breech delivery, like the femoropelvic grip. Second, use of breech towel, and third is always make the baby's dorso-anterior. Assist delivery of the arm by placing 1 or 2 fingers on the upper part of the arm. Draw the arm down over the chest as the elbow is flexed with the hand sweeping over the face. And to deliver the second arm, turn the baby back half a circle, keeping the back uppermost and applying downward traction, and deliver the second arm in the same way under the pubic arch. So this diagram is showing Lobster's maneuver. Here it is the femoropelvic grip always. Here rotation and then again rotation. First we are releasing the posterior arm and then the another arm. So breech birth's baby's body cannot be turned. If the baby's body cannot be turned to deliver the arm, that is anterior, first deliver the shoulder, that is posterior. Hold and lift the baby up by the ankles. Move the baby's chest towards the women's inner leg. The shoulder, that is posterior, should deliver. Deliver the arm and hand and lay the baby back down by the ankles. The shoulder, that is anterior, should now deliver and deliver the arm and hand. Now here, in this diagram, delivery of the shoulder, that is posterior, is being shown. Now the birth of the head. Deliver the head by the Marischal-Smiley weight maneuver as follows. Lay the baby's face down with the length of its body over your hand and arm. Place the first and third fingers of this hand on the baby's cheekbones and place the second finger in the baby's mouth to pull the jaw down and flex the head. Sometimes you can put only 2 fingers, no finger in the mouth. Use the other hand to grasp the baby's shoulders. With fingers of the first hand, gently flex the baby's head towards the chest while continuing to pull on the jaw to bring the baby's head down until the hairline is visible. Pull gently to deliver the head. Ask an assistant to push above the women's pubic bone as head delivers, and we must evacuate bladder also. And the assistant gives suprapubic pressure to keep the head flexed. Flex head makes everything easier. This helps to keep the baby's head flexed and raise the baby still astride the arm until the mouth and nose are free. So this is the picture of Marischal-Smiley weight maneuver. You see that the baby is on one hand, left hand of the obstetrician, and the 2 fingers can be kept on the 2 sides of the mouth. And with this finger, it is being keeping flexed, and the assistant is also giving pressure, suprapubic pressure to keep the head flexed. So showing a video. Breech baby is coming out. There is no pulling. The obstetrician is releasing the legs. One leg released. Pulling pressure in the popliteal fossa. Second leg is released. Now he has done the femoropelvic grip. Breech baby towel is used so that the baby does not slip. Now he is releasing one arm. Again, it will turn the baby to the opposite side. And this is how the breech delivery has been done. Now the whole procedure will be shown. We have to recognize the breech presentation by doing a PB examination and para-abdominal examination. Show the breech is showing at the perineum. And it is usually done in the second pregnancy. Primary breech usually we do not deliver vaginally. This is a complete breech. This is incomplete complete breech. Do not pull at any stage. Now, the first leg is released. I put just giving a tap on the popliteal fossa. The second leg is delivered. Now, this is very important step, femoropelvic grip and wrapping the baby with a grease towel. And now, traction is being, very gentle traction is being given. Floating the baby in one direction, releasing one arm. This arm is released. Now we rotate the baby again. This is called Lobster's maneuver. And the other arm will be released. The movement should be very gentle. And now he's covering the baby like this. Like this is how these two fingers are to be placed. And this is how the baby should be held. We will show you. Now, two fingers on the neck, he is palpating how far down is the head. And now this is assistant is giving superior pressure, and this is how baby is delivered. You can see the placement of the left hand fingers. So usually, in the case of primary gravida, breech delivery is not done. But in second gravida, where pelvis has already been tested, breech delivery can be performed. It has now become a lost art, and we recommend that all the obstetrician and especially the student should learn this art because it will prevent a lot of cesarean sections. So there are few more conditions of head which may encounter during breech delivery. So one is entrapped or stuck head. Always remember that for any obstetric procedure, we should catheterize the bladder. Have an assistant available to hold the baby while applying forceps. If it is required, be sure that the cervix is fully dilated and wrap the baby's body in a cloth or towel and hold the baby up and place the left blade of the forceps. Place the right blade and lock the handles. Use the forceps to flex and deliver the baby's head. If unable to use forceps, apply firm pressure above the mother's pubic bone to flex the baby's head and push it through the pelvis. A footling breech baby will usually require cesarean birth because there are chances of prolapse of the cord and sudden fetal distress. Single footling breech presentation with one leg extended at the hip and knee. And limit vaginal birth of a footling breech baby to advanced labor with a fully dilated cervix. A preterm baby not likely to survive after birth, and the delivery of adjacent babies in multiple gestation. To deliver the baby vaginally, grasp the baby's ankles with one hand. If only one foot presents, insert a hand into the vagina and gently pull the other foot down. Gently pull the baby downwards by the ankles and deliver the baby until the back and shoulder blades are seen. Proceed with delivery of the arms. Now, completing the birth of the baby, give a single dose of prophylactic antibiotic after birth of the baby. We can give ampicillin and cefazolin. They are FD group B drugs and safe in pregnancy. And the post-procedural care is suction the baby's mouth and nose, clamp and cut the cord, give a uterotonic drug, oxytocin 10 units intramuscular is the uterotonic drug of choice. And it is to be given within 1 minute of birth and continue active management of first phase of labor. And examine the women carefully and repair any tears to the cervix or vagina or repair episiotomy. I'm going to the forceps video again because we have left with time, and I will show you cervical tear exploration and laceration there. Baby is delivered. Cord clamped and cut. Baby handed over to the pediatrician. Now, placenta is in the process of delivery. It is called controlled cord traction, and the patient has been given injection oxytocin 10 units intramuscular. Placenta is completely removed. You see here, the obstetrician will explore the cervix for any trauma, and this is one of the procedures to explore the cervix for trauma. So this is the scan showing you. She has taken a sense speculum. Anterior lip of the cervix is shown, and it is being held with a sponge holder forceps. And with another sponge holder, the posterior limb is being held. And you can see the angle here, and in between two, she will look for the tear. And this now she is applying the third ring forceps, and this way she will trace the whole of the cervix to look for any bleeding. This is a very important question asked in exam, how the cervix is explored and examined for the tear. Let's see how she is doing it. So this is for today. We have covered ventouse application, forceps application, and breech delivery, vaginal breech delivery. In next lecture, we will take up cesarean section, manual level of placenta, external cephalic version. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Dr. Shashi. That was a wonderful presentation as always. And as you could have seen, Dr. Shashi had covered the instrumental deliveries and also the breech extraction. And as was there, the beautifully made videos by her team was there. And you had a first-hand experience of those presentations, those videos. And the other videos, you could clearly see how an instrumental delivery is done. Dr. Shashi very beautifully covered all the prerequisites and precautions which you have to take so as to minimize the complications occurring. And as you had seen in the breech extraction, the art, what you saw in the videos, I think you should have noticed that the thing is, don't hurry up, please. Be patient.
Yes.
And you don't have to hurry up. Even while applying forceps or vacuum, you should see your all prerequisites, see the right indication should be there. And then if you apply, you will never go wrong. And then you will not have those tears and everything. And you will be saving a lot of mobility to the patients if you are a little patient. And similarly in a breech extraction case, as you could see by the beautifully illustrated videos, that time is the key. One has to be patient and take care of the baby and all the indications, and more importantly, diagnose these pregnancies beforehand and do the micro planning, plan the deliveries, and have these patients right from antenatal. You have to emphasize upon them about the presentation they are carrying, and they should come to the hospital and in time, well in time, and be offered the vaginal deliveries, and indications have to be carried out. In modern obstetrics, there is no role of a very difficult forceps extraction or a difficult breech extraction. Thank you very much, Dr. Shashi, for a beautiful presentation. Looking forward to your next important topic, the cesarean section and the rest which will follow. Thank you very much once again.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
To moderate your session.
Thank you, Mrinalini ma'am, and thank you, Shashi ma'am, for a wonderful webinar from AHPI and from Anbai Secretariat, ma'am.
Thank you, sir.
Thanks for your time, madam.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Namaste, ma'am.
Thank you.
Namaste.
Namaste. Namaste.
Namaste.